Well, hello and welcome again to our reading of selections from Thucydides, Book 4. We're up to chapter 39. Chronos de hosumpas, the entire time, hoson for hon really here, the whole time in which the men, those being who were besieged in the island, from the sea battle up until the battle in the island, egeneto, it was 60 days and 2, so 72 days, 72 days. Hebdomekonta was 72 days. Of these, there were around 20 days during which the ambassadors went away in regard to the treaty. So during those days they were fed. But the other days, as alas goes with the hemeras, but in the other days they were nourished, they were fed in secret by those sailing in. Kai'ain, and there was sitos, there was food in the island, and other bromata, well, another word for food, this is more grain really, perhaps, and other victuals were found. For Epitadas, the commander, provided for each man, literally more scantily than what was expedient. This is a noun formed from the it is lawful, exesti word. So compared with that which was expedient, or that which they needed, or which was appropriate. So he provided to each man more scantily than what was proper, so that there was food left over. And the Athenians and the Spartans retreated with their army from Pylos, each ep oikou, to each went home, and the hyposkesis, the promise of Cleon, and we get kaiper plus a participle here, although being crazy, apebe, was fulfilled. For he brought the men within 20 days, as he had undertaken, as he had promised. Now I'll continue on to chapter 40 here, because that was a short chapter. Now the subject here is really tutor, I think. So of the things in the war, this occurred for the Greeks most contrary to their expectation, contrary to their opinion. So during the course of the war, for the Greeks, this was the most unexpected event to have taken place. For they thought that the Spartans, neither by famine nor by any necessity, paradunai, would hand over their weapons, but ekontes, hanging on to them and fighting, hos dunantai, as best they could, as much as they were able, that they would die. Infinitive after this axiom. Disbelieving that those having handed over understand themselves and their weapons, not to be equal to those who died, so not to be of the same calibre perhaps as those who died. Kaipot husteron, and sometime afterwards, genitive absolute, someone of the allies of the Athenians, the akedona, this is a funny expression here, it means something like with a view to annoyance, so perhaps teasing or sarcastically, asked one of the captives from the island if those of them who died were kaloi kagathoi. This is that standard expression for noble and good, brave, and so on. So he asked one of those captives from the island if those of them who died were brave and honourable, and he answered to him that ton attracton, this is the spindle, and this is the spindle in spinning, and then we get this explained referring to the arrow. So he said that the spindle, meaning the arrow, would be axion polu, worthy of much, so it'd be worth a great deal, if it distinguished, if it recognized those who were brave, making it clear that the one who met with, the one who got in the way of taking the dative, of the stones and arrows, so that it was the man who got in the way of the stones and arrows who perished. And that's the end of that section.